Hello, you beautiful people. This is Pidge, and we've decided to jump back into Rust. There's been a lot of eyes on Rust recently, and I think it's really important that we document for the new players how to actually get your first base down. So today we're going to jump from the beach to our first base. We're going to talk through everything you're going to need, the steps you want to take, and we'll get you safe and sound. Let's jump into it. So everybody in Rust starts exactly the same way. It doesn't matter if we have 1 hour in the game or a million hours. We start on the beach with very little. We've got a sexy pair of pants, a rock, and a torch. The first thing we want to do is hold G, which will bring up the map, and we want to locate somewhere to live. I'm going to approach this as a brand new player. So as a new player, we want to stay away from highly contested areas, such as water treatment, airfield, launch site. Yeah, and what we want to do instead is stick to places like harbour, lighthouse, gas station's good to have in proximity, and also a road network. We can also use the water to gather materials as well. So I think here looks like a pretty decent starter spot. So we'll head over towards here. If we right click on the map, that puts a marker down, and we can see the marker in there it is at the bar at the top. So we know we're heading in the right direction. On the way to that destination, we want to pick up three things. We want wood, stone, and hopefully cloth. Cloth's not necessary, but it will really help us if we can find some. So let's get going. We're going to need one stone node, which is right here, which is great. Stone nodes have this flashing light on. We want to hit it with the rock and track that light as much as possible. It doesn't increase the yield of the node, but it makes it break up quicker. You want to try and move around as you're farming. If people are trying to creep up on you, it makes you a much harder target to hit. Okay, we'll keep heading towards our destination and we'll look for a tree now. One right here on the right. We'll grab this as well. It's really important at the beginning to get off the beach as soon as possible. We've purposely picked a quiet server, but usually you would have 100 nakeds running around trying to behead you. Once we have this tree, we'll be able to craft our first item, which is a stone hatchet. What that's going to allow us to do is harvest the trees much quicker, and it will also give us more yield. The X on the trees works the same way as the lights on the nodes. It increases the speed. Great. We press tab to open our inventory, and over on the right hand side we've got some quick crafting options. We want to craft a stone hatchet at this point. The next thing we want to craft is a stone pick, but for that we're going to need 200 wood. So let's use the new hatchet once it's crafted. You can see in the bottom right we've got 2 seconds left. 1, and now in our hotbar we've got the new hatchet. So we swap out the rock for the hatchet, and we're going to take one more tree. Great. Now back in our crafting options, we can choose the stone pick. And we'll use that pick to get more stone. We're going to aim for around 5,000 stone by the time we get to our destination. That'll ensure we can make a 2x2. It's like your standard starting base in Rust. It's important that while we're heading towards our building site, that we start crafting the items that we're going to need to put in the base, so that we're not waiting for them to craft when we get there. we can open our inventory whilst running. And we want to craft a building plan and a hammer. And just keep heading towards the marker. We've purposely chosen somewhere a bit more secluded because we want to stay out of trouble while we get used to the game. There's so much to learn. Just keep it simple. This is another example of a node. The brown ones give you metal, and there's some yellow ones that give you sulfur. We're not interested in these right now, we just want the grey ones for stone. And we'll just keep picking up wood as we go. Always keeping an eye out for cloth, which will spawn in these fields. We would be unlucky to get there without getting at least 30 cloth. Here's some cloth. Hemp fibers. So we'll pick those up, that gives us 10. We want at least 30 before we get to our base. Now we have over 1,000 wood gathered, we can now craft this tool cupboard. So we'll get that crafting in the background. It takes a full minute, so we certainly don't want to be waiting for that when we get there. See some stone in front of us, and also we'll just keep getting the wood. You can see that the stone tools greatly increase the speed. We have just over 1,500 stone, and we're aiming for 5k. After this tree, we'll be able to craft the last of the items that we need. So back into our crafting, we want to craft 2 doors, wooden doors, and 3 key locks. And that's it. We now just need to focus on the materials for actually building the base. So we'll grab one more tree. This is something else that's useful to look for on the way to your base. You might come across mushrooms just growing in the wild. Pick these up, because when you first spawn, you spawn with about half health and your food will be quite low. So you can always just pop these. That'll help you stay alive for longer, giving you more time to get this base down. We're still quite a way away from where we want to be. We still only have 10 cloth. We're not going to stop at 30 cloth, we want to get as much as possible, but 30 is the minimum that we're looking for. That will allow us to craft a sleeping bag. Sleeping bag means that we can respawn on it if we die. This is the last tree that we're going to get. Even this might be excessive. We only need 1,000 wood to actually build the base. Yeah, and we've got like 1,600 now, so we're fine. Just focus on cloth and stone. There's another cloth. So we just need one more, minimum. I'm jumping just to give a little bit more visibility over these rocks. while we try and locate some stone. You want to be careful not to jump though on the downhills. You don't want to take any damage at this point. Don't know's giving us a middle finger right now. Here is the last of our cloth that we needed. So now we can actually craft the sleeping bag in the background. That costs 30 cloth. Gone off piste a little bit, so we'll head back towards the marker. And you're always going to get spawns like this where it's seemingly impossible to find stone. If that's the case, we can reduce the size of the base and make it a 2x1, but really it's good practice to try and get enough for a 2x2. Here's a little bit. Come here, bro. Ah, there's some more down here. Right, 2 more. Good, good. So 1, 2, 3. We could just got 4k. We need one more node after this. We're really close to where we want it to be. We can see on the map that it won't take us long to get there. The food bar is pretty much your worst enemy at this point. You can see I'm on 9 food now. Once that gets to 0, it's my health's gonna start chunking. Some good RNG delivers our last stone node. For the sake of the video, please. I think it's worth documenting this struggle because it is going to happen. It's going to happen on about 50% of your wipes, so this is the reality of getting your first base down as a new player. And we don't have to live right on the marker, we just want to live in that area. It's okay to veer off a little bit. Again, we need to be careful not to take any damage. Oh, here's the last stone node. Cool. Great. That's everything we need. So we'll head back up towards our marker because it's a little bit out of the way and we want to stay relatively hidden. Building in that big open field there, that's not going to help us survive. So now that we're in the area, we just want to find somewhere with a bit of cover. Over near these rocks. Looks reasonable. So here looks pretty good. We've got decent cover from the rocks and the trees. It's far less likely that somebody will stumble across our base, so we'll get some peace. We want to take out our building plan on the hotbar, hold right mouse button and select foundation, the square foundation. And we want to build 4 of those. We're going to put our door here, so we want a triangle there in the front left. And hold right mouse button again, select wall. Place down your walls. Then we select doorway. We're going to put down 2 doorways. Triangle roof. And square roofs. And we switch to our hammer. Hold right mouse button. Upgrade to stone. I'm going to make sure we don't miss any of these pieces. Especially this one. Because that one is easily forgotten about. Okay, that's the whole base upgraded to stone. And we want to bring down our doors and our key locks. The door can be put on 2 ways. So that way the door will open inwards, and that way the door will open outwards. We want it opening inwards. I'll explain why. We put on a key lock, and make sure you lock this. So you hold the use button, and you select lock, and you see that the light goes red. If it's unlocked, it's green, and anybody can open that door. Make sure you lock that. And do the same here, but this one needs to open outwards. And lock. The last thing we need to put down is our tool cupboard. So we come into the opposite corner here. We pull away from the wall until it turns blue. And then we tuck it right into the corner there. Hit the last key lock that we crafted. Put that on. Lock it. Open your tool cupboard by pressing use. And we put in any extra materials that we have left over. That will give us some upkeep. That means our base is protected for 4 hours before it will start decaying. So within 4 hours, we need to go gather some more stone and wood. So we have plenty of time. The last thing is throw down your sleeping bag. Doesn't really matter where at this point. I like to put it near the door. And that's it. You can press E on this and you can name it whatever you like. Now the reason we put down the doors like this is because we can actually use this as a peeking spot, but nobody can jump in. So this blocks anybody from jumping in the door, and we can still see outside. So there's a simple tutorial, how to go from the beach to your first base. I hope you found it useful. Rust is an endless game, and you're going to spend the first 1,000 hours just mastering the fundamentals of it. So enjoy it, learn, build your knowledge, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and we'll look at doing some more Rust content. Thanks guys, peace out.